Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm talking about another item in my collection here, and as you can tell from the title and just by looking at it, plain as day, this is my shield. Now, you remember when I was talking about the battle axe that I got back when I lived in England? I couldn't remember the name of the company that made that for me. I just, for whatever reason, suddenly remembered them today. They were called Raven Armoury, and they are still in business today. I'm going to put the link to their website down below. As soon as I saw their logo, I was like, yeah, that's the guys. Wow, Raven Armoury, cool. Now, their catalog has vastly expanded since back in the 80s when I got this shield and the battle axe. But, yeah, I just wanted to talk about the shield. Now, when I ordered this thing, I saw the picture of it. I knew it was going to be this round style. And I thought to myself, well, it's going to be... Since they make somewhat accurate and for, I guess, cosplay purposes, usable weapons and armor, I thought, okay, I'm going to get this shield and it's going to be something that I'm obviously never going to use, but I can hold it up like a real shield. And I was a bit disappointed when I received it. Now, having done my research, I discovered my disappointment was completely baseless. Now, let me just show you. So this is the shield and this is my arm. So we're talking about something that's maybe 3 feet in diameter here. And it's made of like a decent wood. I don't know. I don't think that's particle board. Like it looks like it's a proper, I don't think it's pine or, I can't remember what the stuff is that they mention they actually used historically for these medieval wooden shields. But it's, you know, it's a good solid, you know, bit of wood there, so it's not gonna just break apart. This thing's got to be 30 years old, so it's still in really good condition. But as you can see from the back here, I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting this thing to be, you know, like a proper shield, where it's got the two braces here, and my arm would go through, and that's how you hold it up and you deflect hits from your opponent. And then I saw it was just this piece of cut. Like just a circle was cut, and then this metal thing here, which, by the way, this is called a boss. And I believe this is the origin of the phrase to emboss something. You know how if you've got, I don't know, a piece of paper with a certificate on it, and the certificate is raised up because it's embossed? I think that's what this comes from, or I think that word comes from this. This is called a boss historically. Anyway, so yeah, I turned this thing over and I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is a bit dopey. How is anybody going to deflect anything if they're holding their hand in the center behind this boss? I thought this thing would have two straps, you know, and I would hold it like that. But no, that's kind of dumb. And I just thought, well, it's reenactment style. It's not very accurate. So, okay, sure. It didn't come with this belt, which is actually got a real name. I'll get to that in a second. So I just added that myself so that I could sling the thing over my shoulder. If I was ever going to be dressing up as a knight, at least that would sort of cover, it's going to look like a shield, even though no shields were actually like this in history. Well, it turns out I was wrong. This is actually an accurate way that shields, wooden shields from, I think possibly Viking shields were done this way. And what the design was, now here's me thinking, okay, I'm going to hold this thing up like that and shield myself from any attack. Why would I be holding it this way? As soon as somebody hits me, it's gonna cause this thing to wobble back and forth. Turns out this is actually an accurate way that the Viking type shield was used, because it was actually used a bit in a punching motion. You would actually lurch forward and hit your opponents with this thing. And I guess use it occasionally to stop arrows or whatever. So this is a proper design. This is the way the thing really was done. Now, as I say, this belt, this is actually just something I bought and stuck on it so I could sling the thing over my shoulder. And these types of shields did have this thing. This is called now I'm totally sure this is the wrong pronunciation. The word is spelt G-U-I-G-E. Is that guige? Guige? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, the name of leather straps that you use to attach a shield over your back is called a guige, whatever the heck that word is. So this belt is serving its purpose properly. Yeah, so why did I or another reason why I decided to bring out the old shield is some friends of mine, my old co-workers from my old job, were arranging a little get-together recently, and we couldn't quite figure out a good time because one of my buddies who was going to be showing up said, well, it's going to interfere with my archery lessons. And we somehow got joking about, if I brought my shield, would that stop the shots that you're firing at me? And that kind of stuff. And then one of my friends who knows I've got such a wacky collection of items, he joked, he said, oh, why don't you bring your Captain America shield with you, and that way you can stop the arrows. And I was like, well, Mike, as it so happens, you've just given me an idea for a video. I've got a shield. It's not a Captain America shield, but it's a shield, and might stop a few arrows. Who knows? So this is a bit for their benefit. One other kind of funny thing about this shield itself, the actual paint job that the people at Raven Armoury gave it. When I moved back from England to Canada, I was back into playing Dungeons and Dragons with my old crew, and one of the how can I describe this? One of the classes that I enjoy playing is the cleric, the priest, because although he can't draw blood, he can't use a sword, he does have things like that flail that I've shown you before, and he is allowed to wear armor, and he's allowed to use a shield. And the sort of overruling religious body in the D&D game, the campaign I was playing, the symbol for that god was a circle that was half black, half white. Now, not exactly like this, but my DM did raise his eyebrows when he saw this. He's like, did you request them to make that exactly like your god in Dungeons & Dragons? I said, no, totally a fluke. In the case of his particular god that he had created, then it goes another circle here and another circle there with black over here and white over here. So it wasn't an exact match. But he did think, that's a very strange coincidence. You got a half black, half shield, and that's kind of the symbol of that god. So that was kind of interesting as well. What else can I say about this? I had always thought the image of kind of the Viking ship with all the rows of shields along the side of it was more of a fantastic depiction of the Vikings. Kind of the same way that we tend to think of Vikings as all having horned helmets, when in fact they didn't. So I just thought, oh yeah, that famous Viking ship with the shields along the sides, that's not true either. Turns out it is, and there's a very practical reason why the Vikings would hang their round shields like these over the side of the boats. These things actually acted as a little bit of a brace against the wind and some of the water that was splashing up on the side of the boat. So, and apparently even the symbols that were on the sides of the shields, and therefore sometimes making a kind of a little story along the side of the Viking ships, that was also very purposeful as well, historically. So, yeah, kind of interesting. A lot more there than I had thought was going to be, for something that I bought out of Raven Armoury and thought was like, well, this is just a quick hack job. Somebody's just taken a piece of wood and cut a hole in it and stuck this boss on it. End of story. Turns out, no, it's very accurate, and it's been through a bit. There's got a few scratches and stuff, but that's mostly from just being moved around. That's definitely not from being used in battle. All right, well, there you go. There's my shield. Just thought I'd show that off, and yeah, until next time, I'll see you down the rabbit hole.